Okay, so let's start wading into this now. Enzymes are the product of bacteria. So your bacteria lives in your body and it squirts out enzymes. And they are elegant. And these are the things that do the work in your body. These are the chemistry sets. Now, how do they work and what do they do? Enzymes help speed up chemical reactions. And I mean speed them up like you wouldn't believe. In the human body, they speed them up. One single enzyme molecule can transform millions of other molecules in 1 second. One. And then they don't go away. They continue on to destroy another million or 2 million or break down food or whatever it does, that enzyme. And then when it's nothing left for it to work on, it just goes away. There's no sweeter product made than an enzyme. They bind to molecules. How do they bind to them? What do they do? Grab them? I'm going to tell you how they bind to them. They use magnetism. And they alter them in specific ways. When they bind to them and not lock to them magnetically, they squirt in their little juice and that's it, which is the enzyme. They are essential for respiration, digestion, muscle, and nerve function, thousands of roles. They do literally 100% of the things that are done in your body. All right. Now, this is what an enzyme looks like. You think that just popped out of nowhere? Every one of these is little molecules and the little bits and pieces of sulfur and whatever they are. You see all these little attachment ends and pieces here? Those are magnetic spots. Everything is magnetic. Everything there is has magnetism to it. If you construct it in a certain way, you'll have magnetic regions that will be all over it. And guess what? The bacteria can see these magnetic regions. They come up and they go, and they lock on to these depending upon what these regions signal. Apoptosis is cell death. When you see a certain chemical signature on a molecule, a cell, it's dead, or it's ready to die. And these guys know, look at that, there's a magnetism, zip, oh, zip, case is closed. And that's what they do to cancer cells that are continuously, every single one of us, now there's not one single person that's breathing oxygen today that does not have cancer cells in their body. None, zero. You have cancer cells in your body, I have them in mine. But guess what? The bacteria is the one that kills them. If they're just out floating around doing bad stuff that they shouldn't do, these guys will go out and kill them. If there's nobody to kill them, they lock on to your membranes and your tissues, and they try to break through. And they do, because there's nobody to stop them. There's no enzymes to put out to kill them. There's no mucus there. So they go right through your enzyme. Then they attack your good tissue. That's called cancer. And they understand this now. They're very complicated. Look, enzymes are built of proteins folded into complicated shapes. I guess so. And every enzyme is different. There's not one enzyme the same as the other one. And every bacteria makes its own specific enzyme. All right? They are presented throughout the body. How do they get around the body if I'm saying it from the gut? I'm going to show you how they do it. They do it through the interstitium. All right, the chemical reactions, they keep us alive. They're our metabolism. They break down our food. They give us energy. They create ATP. They create oxygen in your body. It's all a product of enzymes working out to carry these things out. They speed up catalysis, and they catalyze chemical reactions. Look at this. Enzymes can make a chemical reaction millions of times faster than it would have been without it. And then it continues on to do the next one. It doesn't even kill itself. It does them all until they're all gone. A substrate binds to the active site. We're going to go through all this stuff. And it's converted into products. All right? So the active site is what? It's the place where you want to destroy something. And leave the active site. The enzyme is ready to attach to a new substrate and repeat the process. That's where it goes, killing a bunch of this stuff, killing a bunch of this stuff, killing a bunch. It does it over and over and over all day long. The enzymes digest things. They work on DNA replication. They create the enzymes in the liver. They create everything. They create everything. Everything that's done in you is done. the perfect conditions. Now listen to this. This is really critical. Enzymes can only work in certain conditions. Well, what are those conditions? Most enzymes in the human body work best at around 37 degrees centigrade. Well, what is that? 98.6 Fahrenheit, which is, in America, we use Fahrenheit, and it is your body temperature. If it's not at the body temperature, it either goes slow or it doesn't work at all. It says at lower temperatures, they still work, but much more slowly. Well, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to make things break millions of times a second. Well, what if it make it only 500 times a second? Well, you're going to accumulate all kinds of wastes in there that can't be broken down. And then you're going to be attacked, and who knows, it depends on what enzyme we're talking about, how quickly you die. Right? Similar, enzymes can only function in a certain pH, acidic and alkaline. However, that doesn't mean your whole body is that same chemistry. Their preference depends on where they are found in the body. So there's going to be certain bacteria that live in salts, some that live in acids, some that live in neutral, some that live in all kinds of different chemistry. Right? It says, for instance, enzymes in the intestines work best at 7.5 pH, which is a little salty. Whereas enzymes in the stomach work best at pH 2, which is very acid, because the stomach is more acidic. If the temperature is too high, now listen to this is critical to understand. If the temperature is too high, that means in you, and I believe it's like 104, 105 degrees, they stop working. Or if the environment is too acidic or alkaline, that means you don't have enough salt, or you have too much salts, or you too much acid. The enzyme changes shape, so it no longer can bind. This alters the shape of the active site so that the substrate cannot bind to it. The enzyme has become denatured. Well, why does temperature cause that? I can tell you exactly why. It's because temperature is nothing more than extra electrons. As you build up extra electrons in material, it becomes hot. When they drain out, it turns cold. All it is we don't want these extra electrons, get them out of here. Well, we're flushing them in, we're going to heat you up, and then it changes the molecular status of the enzyme, and it no longer attaches. It can't attach to those sites. So here we got two different situations. If you don't have the correct bacteria, there's no way it's going to attach to anything. It's not there. Now, if you have the correct bacteria, but for some reason there's inflammation in a certain area, and inflammation causes heat. And if that heat is too severe in a specific spot, that bacteria is not going to help you there. And I know about this from personal experience. When I was in the Army, I caught URI, upper respiratory infection, and I was really bad. And I was like, I think 104, somewhere around there. I was just out of it. And they packed me in ice, literally. They packed me in between my legs and under my arms and everything. That woke me up. But it also kept me alive. Too high, at a certain temperature, your case is closed. It's over. You die. It makes it just absolutely simple. The enzyme is squirted out from a bacteria. The enzyme has the magnetic properties in it and the ability to find a complex substrate particle that it wants to destroy. It comes in and smashes it. All right, then the enzyme leaves and breaks another one. The product goes in and destroys the invader. All right, just to make it very, very clear. Enzymes versus bacteria. We're unmuddying the waters. Well, what is it? What are enzymes? The enzymes are large molecules, and I showed you all those squiggly things. Mostly they're proteins. They speed up chemical reactions. Scientists have determined that enzymes are able to catalyze or speed up over 5,000 different specific chemical reactions. And that's the only ones they know about. There's approximately 80,000 at least, apparently, bacteria species living in you, and every single one of them creates a different magnetic particle. Appropriately, the substances on which enzymes act are called substrates. They come in and they attach to them to kill them, and the molecules produced as a result are called products. All right, so they attach and they shoot a product in. The substrate an enzyme acts on is dependent upon the unique three-dimensional shape of each enzyme. The three-dimensional shape is because of magnetism. And that's all those little tiny magnetic spots. Now, enzymes are not living. They're not living. They're little chemistry sets, and they're magnetic chemistry sets. They are produced by cells in living organisms in order to help convert food to energy, all right, build compounds, remove waste quickly enough to sustain life. And again, remove them quickly enough. If you can't get rid of the waste, you're going to be toxified. Enzymes in bacteria. Bacteria are one-celled organisms. So the bacteria only have a single cell. They divide their cell to replicate, to make more of them. Unlike us, we split, to make more organisms, they divide their cell. With us, it's two sexes match, the male and female. They only have a single cell. All right. So bacteria are one-celled organisms, but they require food and the vitamins therein. They have to have that stuff to survive. That's what prebiotics are all about. So they need oxygen, water, appropriate temperatures. Remember, the temperature is very important in order to survive, just like humans. Different bacteria strains will produce different amounts and types of enzymes in order to speed up and break down the complex substrates and then consume the smaller, simpler products as food. Now, that's one way they do it. Otherwise, they go in and they shoot out that product to kill the thing. If bacteria did not create enzymes, complex substrates would take too long to disintegrate into consumable products, and the bacteria would not be able to eat enough in a short enough period of time to survive and reproduce. You have to have these bacteria in you. Bacteria and waste. They're waste breakers. They break everything down. I'm not going to, well, there's only one more paragraph here. The complex substrates that enzymes act on in bacteria then consume include waste compounds that pollute the environment inside your body. Those are the toxins. And where does that happen? In your lymph nodes. And that's where everybody's getting a skin cancer, because that's your lymph nodes. They're cleaning out all the toxins that are floating around in your skin and so forth. If you don't have the right bacteria, you're not going to clean them up. And if you don't have it in one spot, you probably don't have it in another spot. So if you have melanoma, that's why they reoccur, because you still don't have the correct bacteria. We have to figure out what bacteria that is that keeps you from having lymph node cancer. And it should be able to be figured out very simply now that we understand these are the products that do this work. If you don't have the right bacteria in the right places in your body, and let me tell you something. Let me just show you something real quick here. There's some serious chemistry in your body. You see that? Every one of those has a completely different set of bacteria, and I mean completely different. And that's just some of your body. Your tendons, your muscles, everything has a membrane. And every membrane, nerves, everything, your eyeballs, your tongue, everything. If that membrane is not functioning correctly, you are invadable. That's called a pre-existing condition. Okay, my friends, I'm not going to go deep into this particular article, but I am going to show you exactly how this magnetotactic bacteria and the magnetosomes work. Now, this is all brand new stuff, so there's very, very little understood about this at the moment, but I think I understand as much as anybody else, and I would love to confer. Now, I was just talking with my friend Marguerite O'Reilly, who went to Harvard Medical School to study ribosomes. Now, what is a magnetosome versus a ribosome? Well, let's think about that. Now, this does get complicated, but basically what it boils down to is a ribosome is created by messenger RNA, basically. The messenger RNA comes down and it says, we got to create this particular strand of products in this particular sequence, and then it just happens. The ribosome molecules, many ribosome proteins are formed. The ribosome-associated molecules are also known as the translational apparatus. So they translate from the program, which is the mRNA, the messenger RNA, which is exactly how we develop immunities. Something in us, there's some bacteria says, hey, we got a problem over here. There's an attack from something called COVID-19. And he says, well, I never saw that before. And he says, no, I never did either. So what are we going to do? Well, let's talk to everybody, see if we can figure out what areas we can attack on that thing. Exactly. That's exactly what they do. They say, well, we could put this magnet over here and a couple of magnets over this side and one over here and one over here and one over here. We can attach to it, and then we're going to squirt some stuff in there. Get some of that nasty, nasty stuff you guys got, blast it in there, and just blow those suckers out of you. And it does. And it does it very, very quickly. You can build immunities literally within days if your body is functioning correctly, if you have all the correct bacteria in your body. And nobody knows what they are. But people will recover from COVID if they have the correct bacteria in their body. They will not recover, and they will be long haulers if that bacteria is not there to start to build the correct chemistry to destroy the thing and get it the hell out of you forever. So don't forget, my claim is basically it's a rearrangement of the magnetic particles that are in the bacteria to correspond to the vulnerable places that are on the invading bacteria, because or virus or enzyme or whatever it is that's attacking you. But it's going to end up being bug to bug. You better have better enzymes and killer chemistry in you than that bug's trying to kill you. And your chemistry set will set up magnetic boundaries. It'll say, okay, I know what to do about that guy. I found a couple of spots we can hit him and whack him. And they do. They go out and pow! And that's it. And that's why some people don't get it. Some people get it. Some people get it terrible. Depends on how good your bacteria is and how much you have of it and where it exists in your body. And nobody has any idea about any of that stuff right now. We need a map of the human body and what bacteria in a healthy, functioning, perfectly stable human body that is not invadable. What's living in those membranes? And all they are is membranes. They're called membrane-bound bacteria. They live there. You kill them by antibiotics or for whatever reason, the food you're eating, I don't care what it is. Once they're dead, you are invadable. Okay, this is the magnetosome. These are the different alignments of all the magnetic particles. They can align in such specific ways. They can attach a little click here, click, 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 and then pew, they shoot their product in, and the case is closed for that invader. Okay, this was in 2018. Scientists say they discovered a new human organ, which is this interstitium. It runs through the whole body. They never realized it ran through the whole body before. And I think I talked about my friend Gil Hedley. He's good friends with this guy, Neil Tice, who wrote the paper on how this stuff all goes through the body. And this is the interstitium, and it's a fluid-filled highway. And let's see, I have a good picture of it. Hold on. Okay, Dr. Thies was talking about treating cancer and understanding how cancer cells move around the body. Well, this is melanoma, and they say it's much more likely to spread after it gets into the lymph nodes. Well, the lymph nodes are literally the dump of your body. Whatever chemistry that you want to get rid of goes to the lymph nodes. That's why he talks about all this interstitial fluid leads directly to the lymph nodes. Well, once it gets in the lymph nodes, what happens? It's got to get broken down. If it doesn't get broken down, it creates a blockade. Now, is that blockade toxic? Could be. Is that blockade maybe blocking some other duct or creating some magnetochemistry that attaches and binds to something that shouldn't? are these products that couldn't even be broken down to be killed. That's the key, because the bacteria in your body is supposed to kill things that are trying to kill you. If they can't kill that thing, and it's not really dead, and they bring it over and drop it off at the lymph duct and say, all right, get rid of this thing. And it says, whoa, I can't get rid of it. It's still alive. And then it starts to grow in there and becomes cancerous. Let me show you what cancer does. All right, this is exactly what happens with cancers. They have cells floating around through the interstitial fluid, which is up in here. Cancer, they're all inside of you right now. They're floating around. And whatever is out here is supposed to kill it. Carry it over to the lymph nodes, get it out of here. Well, this had found a hole. This one here found a hole right in here. And it could attach here. Now, why could it attach here? Something could not keep the slime on here, the mucus maybe, so it just found a hole that it could really lock its little claws into, magnetically. Or there's literally a perforation, literal perforation in here. And it starts to work its way down through this. I think stage 1 is it breaks through the mucosa. Stage 2, it starts into the interstitium. There's a lot of layers. I mean, hundreds and hundreds, literally, of layers of interstitium between here and the basement layer, which is down here. But it will work its way through if there's nobody can stop it. And that's the key with the enzymes and the bacteria. You can't stop it, eventually it's going to get you. And with the lymph nodes, they are everywhere in your body. Well, not everywhere, but there's a ton of them. And they are, these fluid-filled highways bring down the trash, and they say, all right, take it out. And they say, I can't get rid of it. It's too spiky or whatever it is. I don't care what the problem is. It's too much, it's acid, it's salts. Get it out of here. I can't get it out. I don't have any bacteria. What do you want me to do? Well, you're in trouble. All right, this is Memorial Sloan Kettering, a cancer center. Now, this is the lymphatic mapping with sentinel node biopsy. They understand that your nodes are being invaded and they're being degraded, basically. Now, this is about your lymphatic system. It helps fight infection. It helps drain fluid from areas of your body. Okay, this is the interstitium. I don't know if I've shown it to you before. If I have, well, here it is again. There is a liner here, which is a mucosa, which it could be your skin, it could be the fascia, which coats all your membranes. This is basically a membrane. You can think of it that way. And in these membranes, they are able to stretch and move around so you can be flexible. That's what it's all about. And they slide over the top of your organs and everything, and they have to be very supple and gooey. And these fluid-filled bags are saturated with these bacteria, and they drag everything over to lymph nodes. We'll be talking about that because this is related to melanomas and so forth. But this is the fluid-filled highways. They're not sealed. These little flagellas can go flying through the flagella on the end of a bacteria. They're little drivers. They can go 1,000 revolutions a second, zip, right through your body, to go wherever they need to go. And they have magnetic sensors on them. I think I've already gone through that or will. But this is the top layer, this is the bottom layer. This is the layer that we're going to be talking about or have been talking about. I sort of get confused because I get a lot of interruptions, but one way or another you've seen it. Okay, my friends, I've been talking about this for quite some time. This is the layer under the skin that's called interstitium, and it covers all your organs, and every membrane in your body is this interstitium. It is now considered to be a fully functioning, flowing bodily organ where all the bacteria flows through this system and delivers the products you need. And they're just starting to understand because it's loaded with what they call proteins, which are enzymes and catalysts and so forth. And it is also leads directly to the lymph system. And that is where lymph cancer comes from. If you don't have the right bacteria, your lymph nodes will be invaded. Listen to this.
Today's findings could eventually mean big changes for the way doctors confront cancers and other deadly diseases. A group of scientists believes it's discovered an elaborate path of fluid-filled tissues that makes up a previously unknown organ called the interstitium, found just below the skin and surrounding critical body systems.
The whole thing is the interstitium.
NYU lead researcher Dr. Neil Fees.
It turns out that this wasn't just an isolated finding, it was all a single network of fluid-filled spaces that sort of ensheathed the body.
Carrying 20% of the body's total fluid volume, the interstitium would be the body's biggest organ, what researchers call fluid-filled highways, acting as a sort of shock absorber around the digestive, respiratory, and urinary systems. Researchers say the fluid itself is rich in protein and seems to flow to the lymph system. That may explain how tumors can spread so quickly through the body.
And once we know how that happens in detail, then we can start targeting parts of that process to maybe inhibit tumor spread.
If doctors could target this new organ, the opportunities could be endless.
This could be huge because for once we're finally figuring out there's these connections in parts of the body that we didn't know exist before, and this could lead to treatments for diseases that up until now have just been mysteries to us.
While some scientists have expressed skepticism that the interstitium is its own organ, already tonight speculation that med school anatomy books may soon include a new chapter. Tom Costello, NBC News, Washington.